I'm always nervous in the beginning, and I want that to be okay. So, hello, nervousness. Hello, Yoram. Welcome back. I'm very happy that we are here again doing the podcast. And I know that I'll just dive right in if that's okay for you. Just stop me any moment. But I know that there is something you experienced in your life around empathy that was, from what I understood, super, super deep. And I'm curious, if you want to share about that, your big, I think you know what I mean. We just talked about it, that big experience of empathy that you had in your life.
So first to say I had many profound experiences with empathy, and even just generally the experience of being heard is for me the beginning of existence. Like, as a social being, I'm so tuned and to my connection with people, to my belonging to the human tribe. And also as a mediator, I see that as such a kind of the sense of the central core pain, which is the experience of not being heard or not being seen. So empathy for me is really immediately touching that core, to be heard and to be seen as a door to maybe the most profound experience, which is belonging to the human tribe. One experience that was very moving. When I say moving, I mean like kind of changing my trust in empathy. Is a moment, it was in 2007, that I wanted to die. For a certain period of time, I wanted to die. I didn't see a path for myself that made sense. And I was then in a training, in a nonviolent communication training, and when one of the trainers heard me speaking about that, about my wish to die, she said, "Shall we have a walk?" And I said, "Okay." And then she asked me, we started to walk outside, and she asked me how I am. So I shared with her for 5 minutes, and she was just silent, listening to me. And after 5 minutes, I said, "Okay, that's it." And she said, "No, I'm available to hear more." I said, "Okay." I shared maybe 5 more minutes, and I was sure that she's bored. I said to her, "Okay, probably that's enough, right? Like, it's enough for you." She just said, "No, no, I'm enjoying." So I continued for 5, 10 more minutes. And then I said, "Okay, so now it's really enough, right?" Then she said, "No, no, I'm enjoying." And like this is continue for about 2 hours. Me, every 5, 10 minutes, I ask her, "Are you bored? Is that enough?" She said each time, "No, I'm enjoying myself." And after 2 hours, we just came back to the place, and then she said, "Shall we continue tomorrow?" I said, "Well, if you want to continue this torture, I'm available." And the day after, we met again. We had again this kind of 2 hours walk, and every 5, 10 minutes, I say, "Are you bored?" And she say, "No, no." And it continued like this for 5 days. And somehow after 5 days, I didn't want to die anymore. And that stayed with me for a very, very, very long time. And there is something about when a human being is listening to me, and is not only listening, but is appreciating me in my sharing. I just cannot imagine more transformative. I had another such experience with one of my friends, and that sense of, when someone is with you, is a sense of timelessness. No, I'm with you as long. I'm imagining every child wish that quality from their parent, that spaciousness, that, oh, you can be with me for as long. There is no rush. Whenever I speak with people, even now I'm speaking, and in my head there is a voice that constantly say, is that too long? Is that enough? Is that boring? Is that when a human being is able, have the capacity to be touched by what I'm saying or appreciate me what I'm saying? Yeah, there is something extremely profound that is transformative. So yeah, that's one example. I had many also on a daily basis, that experience of being heard, that someone can, again, stay with me until they understand, until they are touched. But also the capacity to really understand what I really try to say. Very often when I or other people speak, we speak a certain superficial layer of what's going on. For example, if I'm annoyed by you, I say, I'm annoyed with you. But that's actually a superficial layer of what is really going on. If someone has the capacity to go down the layers and to meet me with the essence of my authenticity and the essence of what I wish to share that I don't even know that is existing. Most of the time, I don't even know what is at the bottom of my authenticity. If someone is capable of staying with me and having the skills to meet me at the essence of my being, I just cannot imagine more meaningful experience than that. That's kind of touched the topic of what you invited me to speak today about, like what is empathy and how to do empathy. And so empathy, that kind of connection, the capacity to connect to another human being, even if we are different. But very often, I'm speaking, so Hans, stop me whenever you have a sense of directing differently. Very often when people say, what is empathy? What is this mysterious word? The first way for me how to define what empathy is that capacity to enter to another person's shoes, to see the world through their eyes, to be able to capture, to understand and be touched by their perspective. I don't know, for example, if somebody lives poverty. I remember I have a friend from India, and we were kind of speaking about hunger. And suddenly we realized that I never experienced, not having money to buy food. While for him, that was a real experience that he experienced not once in his life. And to really get how it is to be a human being who knows what is hunger, to enter into his shoes, to really get what they experience and what it leads people to do. And of course, I don't know, for example, if somebody steals, I'm annoyed with it. But for example, if I go one layer deeper and I discover that they are hungry, immediately I feel more compassion.
Yeah.
And that's one quality for me about empathy, that the deeper you go in the layers of authenticity, the more, compassion or human resonance or cooperation, or we become a team. And that's not easy to go down the layers of, especially, for example, with my girlfriend, or people that are close to me. I imagine that kind of experience, that somebody is annoying, you find annoying. I find human beings very annoying in so many situations. I don't know, at work, if you have it. It's so interesting for me always to join teams and to see how much annoyance there is in any working team. Friendships or family, or we tend to be very annoyed by other people, and empathy for me is a capacity how to fall in love with annoying people. If I'm annoyed, for me, if I'm annoyed with someone, is a sign that I don't understand them yet.
Mm.
And this comes like layers of authenticity, like, to go down the layers of why they behave in this annoying. I don't know, I'm thinking about my girlfriend, for example, that for a long time I was annoyed that I judged her as not structured. Like, there are all sorts of things. For example, she lose her keys, or she forget the heater or whatever. And I was annoyed, like, why you don't create yourself a system to remember? And she was very persistent with not taking my advice. And until in one moment I got that, for example, for her in her family, like her father was actually constantly trying to control and tell her how she should do things. And she learned very early on now we call it the raincoat. She learned how to put a certain layer of protection. So all those controlling advices that came, she managed to actually protect herself and keep her own spirituality. And I'm so happy she didn't become like her father, and she managed to protect her own spirituality and her own way. And when I got that, it's again like to understand why the person is behaving the way how they behave. And the moment when you feel compassion, something shift. Like in that moment, I stopped, trying to change her, trying to.
Can I ask something about what you shared, or is there another? So yeah, it is maybe 2 steps back of what you just shared about. You said something along the lines of, when I really understand somebody's experience, then you said something else. But I had many conversations with a Jewish friend of ours. I will protect his privacy for now, but he is kind of adamant that you can never know what it's like to be Jewish. And sometimes I say to Yeva, my partner, Yeva, you just don't know what it's like when your parents are divorced. And so for me, that is true, but I'm curious how you relate to this kind of dynamic that, I will never know what it's like to be somebody with a darker skin, let's say it like that. So I'm curious how you relate to that.
Yeah, I'm resonating with what you say. And I like the acknowledgement. The moment I acknowledge, I will never know how it is to be you. I already become open and humble to, there is a whole space there that I don't know. In a way, the danger is when I think I know.
Yeah.
So that openness, for me, that's a key in empathy. Like the openness to the unknown. For example, like I said, if I'm irritated with someone, it's a sign for me that I don't understand them. It immediately creates a space. And in this space, there are new realizations to come that brings that heart shift or experience. I don't even like the word heart. Something in my experience towards them shifts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm resonating a lot with what you say.
Yeah. It's a bit of like, for me also, becoming progressively less stupid, like Marshall Rosenberg used to say, or at least apparently. But I was so blind for that there's this whole experience of being Jewish. For me, and my friend also, said it a few times, reflected back. Yeah, for you, we kind of look the same, but we're actually a different race. And he was quite clear that it's not the same. It's really different. Yeah, getting progressively less stupid. And I have so many biases in my mind that I'm sometimes conscious of and sometimes unconscious. I had this whole period about learning from my partners, my girlfriends, of part of the experience of what it's like to be a woman. I think I'm still largely blind to it, actually. Sometimes I hear something like, oh, really? So yeah, all these, I just don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe people are listening and they're hearing us talk about empathy. And for me, it's actually quite clear, empathy is sometimes I say, being with somebody as they are without wanting to change them. But I'm curious if somebody would ask you, what is empathy? How, what would you say to them? How would you explain empathy to somebody on the street?
Even when I get this image on somebody on the street, I can already say I don't know, because with each person I will try to find a path together. Like there is not one way how I would explain anything to anyone, because it's a path to find. That's again touch something in that openness of empathy of I don't know how to explain something to anyone. And at this moment, what comes to me is that capacity to be touched by another person, and in order to be touched, there needs to be a quality of openness, because there is just, for me, human being is so big. I find it just so painful how my brain think that I understand human beings. And then I put them in certain categories of, you are annoying, you are selfish, you are, you are unreasonable. And when I take the time to understand why this person is unreasonable, and underneath I discover incredible things. Yeah, at this moment, that kind of the one way that supports me to define empathy is that openness until I'm touched, authentically touched. And this also, there are all sorts of techniques about how to empathize, especially, for example, in nonviolent communication, which is what I'm teaching. Is a specific technique that we call guessing feelings and needs. But empathy is not a technique. Empathy is the actual experience that something shifts in me into that kind of human resonance. And, there are people who have no skills who are much more skilled at it because it's not a skill. It is a human capacity to see. And here, maybe I would go to another layer for me of what it is for me, empathy is love for life, is love for reality, or in other words, love for authenticity, is passion for authenticity. That, when I find people annoying, for example, in that moment, I'm not connected to reality. I have a certain image about them, of who they are. So I'm not connected to reality. And empathy is that kind of going down the layer towards seeing reality for what reality is, or meeting their actual authenticity. If I talk with a thief, like I have that kind of image that I need to educate them to stop stealing. And that, I would say, that superficial layer of meeting them. Something is going on with them. And if I will not first be authentically touched by what's going on for them, it's very likely that we will not find cooperation to figure out how to both care for them and for society, whatever. That's, of course, like a certain grief I have about all punishment system, because punishment is not including the quality of understanding. It's telling you just, you have to change.
Yeah.
That's, as I see it, I see it very much with myself or people around me, that if I'm not understanding them, we are not likely to find cooperation, and we are not likely to find a way to actually authentically shift the behavior. So for me, empathy is a certain base. We are constantly wanting to change. I don't know, thinking about the war that is going on now in Iran. The Israel and USA do a certain action with the hope of changing something. And I'm always worried about that when the only intention is to change without understanding, we are not likely to find cooperation.
Yeah.
I'm thinking now about Putin, for example.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not first understanding why he is, in our eyes, is aggressive. If I'm not really taking the time to deeply understand, and this is when I say deeply, that's a key, because very often, for example, in close relate or in work relationship, I don't know, this kind of not super close, but we have certain. When I ask people, why do you think he is behaving in this way, and people will say, yeah, he's doing it to hurt me. And for me, that's a layer that is not yet the actual layer. There is more to go. Why does he want to hurt you? Then it becomes for me very interesting. Okay, let's say that he wants to hurt you, but why? Then to go one more layer deeper and to discover, for example, that they are very hurt and they want to be understood, and they don't know anymore how to, to try to bring your attention that they are hurt, for example. That already, when I hear that, I see, wow, there are more possibilities here. And this is one of the miracles about empathy or going down the layers, is that the deeper I go, the more it opens new possibilities of creativity and cooperation, and of how to actually cooperate, how to care for everyone. I'm stopping here to check with you.
Yeah. One sentence that has been singing in my mind, that has been with me for a while, is, it may be a little bit sound like a judgment, but I say it like, or it goes like, if you don't see somebody's beauty, you're not seeing clearly. It sounds like you're saying a similar thing. And I also wanted to ask a question, and it's a bit on behalf of the listener or the viewer that may be not so familiar with nonviolent communication. They they might have something like, yeah, but if I'm annoyed, I don't even want to be open. And so I know, you give exactly to teach people this, you give basic courses and intermediate, advanced courses, workshops, and year programs. But maybe can you say just a little extra step for those people in that moment? What is one thing they can do to even be willing to be open to somebody they find annoying?
What comes to me now is the first thing is, if somebody ask this question, how did you say like that? But I don't want to be open.
Yeah.
For me, if a person say I don't want to be open, it means that probably they have certain pain, or they experience certain danger in being open. And for me, that's a very important message. So first I would say, don't be open. I find it really, as a general thing, as a very dangerous thing, to say, for example, to someone, can you be more open, or can you accept me as I am, or can you stop judging me, or because it's like I'm trying to change the other without first bringing understanding to something is going on with them. So for me, the first thing, if somebody tells me, why to be open, if I say, yeah, you don't have to be open. And then I become curious first, is there something that prevents you from being open? And I want first to hear that. And here comes the miracle that, when we somehow touch a deeper layer in them, it becomes safer for them. And then openness might happen by itself. And that also is a general thing about empathy, that if a person is not being heard, they cannot hear. So as a person who practices it a lot, I very often, in many of the dialogues I'm in, I will be the first person who hear, because I'm very interested in that, and it's a quality that I want to bring into the conversation. I want to be heard myself. So very often I will be the first one who hears people, to start bringing that quality of safety, that, we can both be heard.
And I also imagine,
And
sorry.
No, I just wanted to say that I'm starting to drift from your question, so I'm coming back to you.
Yeah. I was just going to say that I pretty sure, but I'll say I imagine that you also have integrated very strongly self-empathy. So you are listened to very deeply by yourself very often, I think. Is that true for you?
I don't know how to evaluate myself and how to compare myself with others, but I find it extremely helpful that, when other people don't hear me, that I can hear myself, and in that sense gives a security for myself. I don't know, for example, if somebody asks me something and they put some pressure, I don't know, Yoram, like, why you don't come to my birthday? You're my friend, like, why you don't come to my birthday? In that moment, I feel certain pressure. And then I want to change them to make them stop putting pressure on me. I say, like, can't you accept me as I am? Like, I don't have to go to your birthday.
Mm.
Is that friendship? But then if I hear myself, like, why I don't want to go to their birthday, for example, because I don't feel comfortable with their friends and I really want to put myself in situations where I'm comfortable. And when I hear that, like, I can almost offer that part of me a certain security. If I say, almost like I say to myself, I whatever will happen in this dialogue, I want to be sure I'm comfortable.
Mm.
And when I give that kind of commitment that I will not betray myself, that's kind of the thing about if somebody put pressure on me, I'm scared to lose myself and to find myself doing things I don't want to do.
Mm.
This is why I want to change them, like stop putting pressure on me. But if I'm able to get my core sense of I want to be comfortable, I want to be comfortable to connect with people, and to secure that I will not betray myself, then I become open to hear them. Oh, so it's very important for you that I come to your birthday. Yes, because you are my best friend. So like you really value this connection and you want, yes. And and when I was young, like nobody came to my birthday and like finally I'm going for it and I invite people and it's so vulnerable. Oh, wow. Now suddenly I want to go to their birthday because now I understand what I'm supporting.
Mm. Yeah, can I say what comes to me when I hear that? It's I want to see if I can get it into words, but yeah, I think I do a similar thing, or when I'm successful, let's say I'm doing a similar thing, where I'm kind of clear to myself, yeah, I won't let you force me to do something I don't want to do. And just saying that to myself, I'm able to listen to somebody, and it sounds a bit similar. Yeah, I love that. And I had actually a similar moment I had a moment of annoyance earlier today with my meditation practice part people. There was some miscommunication, and I was annoyed. I was ashamed, and both of those things happened. That self empathy happened. I was kind of in the first 5 minutes of that meeting. I was just kind of listening to myself mostly, while the other people were engaging with each other. And also, I didn't ask, but I think also imagining. So just only imagining what might somebody be needing for me is sometimes the key to relaxing and softening and melting. And I just had this imagination about this other person who I found annoying, and just having this curiosity about, oh, why might they have done that? Also already softens me. Do you also do that sometimes with imagination only?
Yeah. And I want to acknowledge that when I manage to not only imagine, but actually to get their confirmation, that opened my heart, 3 times more when I.
Yeah. Then you're in reality with the other person. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm recognizing myself in what you're saying. When I don't know, like already to imagine is already opening something in me.
Yeah.
I wonder, it's a suggestion, if to take it from here into kind of a demonstration
Yeah.
concretely.
Yeah.
kind of the how.
Yeah. Happy to.
Yeah.
How would you like to do it?
I can imagine many different ways. One of my favorite is to take a challenging situation. So, for example, if you have a judgment about me, judgment or irritation, or that could really give us opportunity to do something real, and I will try to explain on the way what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Do you like? Is there any judgment that you have about me?
I have a judgment about you. But I'm also a little bit afraid because it's about what you shared about your father and yourself. Pretty sure you're going to say, yeah, it's okay. But I still want to say it's a little bit scary for me. How is that for you? Yeah. So you would like me to throw my judgment your way? Are you ready? Yeah, so you shared at one point, maybe a few times I heard the story that you, and correct me of course if I'm not getting apart as you like to tell it as your experience, but something like, yeah, your father looked at you in a way that gave you the impression or gave you the thought that you're not wanted or you're not welcome or you're a burden. And then you said something like, I never want to give that experience to somebody else. And that's why Yoram, didn't choose to be a father. And my judgment is, you're not trusting yourself enough to be different. And because of that, you may have, made a huge mistake with that.
So I'm doing this sign as kind of to give an explanation to the people who listen.
Yeah.
So the first thing, if I want to be open to what Hans is saying, like I want to check either pain in me, and there is immediately what comes in me is, oh, what he says is not correct. Like it's not how I exactly experience my father. That's one thing. I want to be understood. And this is already touch a core. I want to be understood with how things actually happen. So I said to that part, I will explain it later to Hans, because it's not important for the dialogue itself, because when Hans is judging me, it's actually he's revealing something about himself. So if I will explain it now, it's almost a pity because it will distract us from what Hans really tried to say, which is what I named before is going down the layers. So that's one part. And another part is there is some pain around that at this moment, because I have problems with my voice and fears about the future. I myself, I'm like, maybe I made a mistake not to create myself a family and, a close community that I can feel safe around. So it touched me a little bit in that pain. Yeah, and it's just helpful for myself to name it, this is where part of my pain now is coming from. That actually, again, has nothing to do with what Hans is trying to share. I'm saying also to that part, I will check with you later if you're still, in any pain, and maybe I will share even with Hans that. Yes, and now kind of just hearing these two parts, immediately I'm becoming, now I'm curious. I'm curious what's going on in Hans that brings him to judge me in this way. And there I want to put my focus in a specific way. I want to put my focus not on Hans' thoughts, like his thoughts that I made a mistake. If I put my focus on he think I made a mistake, immediately I want to do this. Like, I didn't know. How do you know that I made a mistake?
Middle finger for those listening.
So instead of putting my focus on his thoughts, I allow my focus to lower a little bit and remind myself that thoughts are an expression of an experience and longings. And in nonviolent communication, we call it put your focus on the feelings and the needs of the other person. The feelings is what do they experience? And the need is what is the core authenticity? What is the actual longing behind this judgment? So that's kind of, I'm just within myself, I'm like, I remind myself that kind of focus, I want to resonate with the human being. On the level of thoughts, I'm very different from many other human beings. Almost every human being, and immediately when I hear their thought, I'm like, I'm different. There is not human resonance. There is more annoyance. But if I will manage to hear the human being behind, and it might take time. So I'm just staying open and let's see how it goes. Hans, can I check if I understand you? So you say that you have the thought I made a mistake, that I kind of projected my father, my experience with my father, and with this maybe I lost an opportunity.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm speaking now with the audience, with the people who listen. So now he say yes. So I'm just kind of meeting him in the first layer of understanding, and then I'm kind of curious, what is it as a kind of core essence? So I will just guess it. So for example, so Hans, are you saying in a way that you are kind of feeling sad for me, imagining that maybe I missed something very special about life? Is that?
I think there is a part that is maybe not sadness, but that I expect it's probably there. But I think it's almost more fear of, oh, what if you're on your deathbed and you realize, oh no, I actually did want children. But I also know that there's another thing for me, and it's a bit of my own self-analysis of, you have been my teacher for a long time, and still are in many ways, and I have a big respect for you. And I put you a bit on a pedestal. And I think there's a kind of reactivity in me that if I put somebody on a pedestal, then another part of me wants to find fault. I think that's also there, like wanting there to be something wrong with you, let's say. That's there as well.
Mm-hmm. So again, I'm just speaking now with the people who listen. Yeah, so I'm hearing two parts. So I want to, in a way, separate them, and each of them might lead us to something precious, humanly precious, that I can resonate with. So I will just intuitively choose one of them and then see how it goes. So, and maybe to name it. So if I'm thinking, if I meet him only in that layer that he wants to find a fault in me, there I don't feel compassion. Like, there is not the experience of empathy. I'm annoyed, like, why do you want to find something fault in me? But that's a sign, as I said at the beginning, if I'm annoyed with someone, I want to go one layer deeper. What is it? Why? Why he wants to find a fault in me? And I will just make a guess about that. So Hans, is it that when you say, like when you put somebody such as myself on a pedestal and you want to find faults, is it something to do with kind of checking if you can really trust?
I do think it has something to do with trust. But a bit more in a complex way, as I know myself. And that's the thing, I know that it is a little bit mental, but I know it's true. So I can speak my mental part first, maybe, and see where that leads us. Because I would be challenged to really feel a lot right now, if that's okay. So
can I maybe just name something for this people listening?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the arts for me is about guessing. I make a guess. Guess is not about making a good guess or a right guess. And you can already hear that I made a wrong guess, like it had something, but not the actual thing. But now he corrects me. In which I love when people correct me, when they feel safe to correct me. Because now he will give me some more information about what it is. So it's as if like, for me, the empathic process is like walking in the dark, kind of blindfolded towards the jungle of his heart, like, to discover him. So I make many, many wrong guesses. That's not the point. The importance is how to stay open for his correcting me and curious. Yeah, Hans, I'm back with you.
Yeah. So there is something to do with trust, and I have, as a child, I was raised by my mother and my stepfather, not my current stepfather, but then, and he was very scary and very unpredictable, and would punish in kind of arbitrary ways, and I have grown a mistrust of people in, let's say, power positions, and then people I perceive to be in a higher place than me or having some power, because as my teacher, you actually have some power, and I know I give you the power in a very important way, but there is this kind of, there's a vulnerability when I open up to somebody I want to learn from, because when as a child I opened up to somebody I wanted to learn from, like a father figure, I got really, really, well, traumatized, to just put that sticker on it. And that's still alive in me in some way sometimes. I think that's probably happening for me.
So again, I'm speaking to the audience. So I would just try to guess, to check if I understand, and to guess with him what he just said. So Hans, is it that a part of you appreciates me and there is a certain openness? And in that openness, there is something also scary. Not get hurt again.
Yeah, you're asking me, right? Directly. Yeah, and I also want to acknowledge that the judgment is there in my mind, and it did come from that place. And I also noticed that it has shifted for me, that there is always this tendency for me to have this kind of projection onto teachers of power, and probably some part of my past gets into the mix of how I perceive them and how I place them in my kind of world. And I also feel that I've actually made some healing and some shifts, that I can have a lot of respect for teachers, and also, maybe see things differently, or still know that they are human. And so there's that. And so the interesting thing is that the judgment is there. I had to really look for a judgment, and that was, I have that judgment. It's a little bit more in the past already. That's a bit how it is for me.
Again, just a little thing for the audience is that empathy is a little bit like, it's an art of following. Like, I'm not leading Hans anywhere. I can gently guess, but the essence is that I'm following him. So I'm just listening to his last message, what he just said, and I will just try to connect to that, to see if I'm connecting to that. Yeah, so if I hear you well, Hans, you say you recognize that kind of dynamic, but it's not very alive anymore. Just lightly there.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm hearing a little kind of celebration in it, to see how it's in your process, slowly it's kind of disappearing.
Yeah.
And then actually more trust and openness can stay.
Yeah. And it also allows me to learn from you, because I can learn from you and not agree with all the actions you take, or not, do all the things the same. But I really love you, and I really learn a lot from your way of being in the world. Yeah, it's more safe for me to do that if I can remember you're a human like me, but different. Yeah.
Just to name it again for the audience. So The funny thing about the kind of judgments is that at the beginning it sounds very much about me. Like, Yoram, you make a mistake. Then of course I will be reactive because I want to be seen. The deeper I go, suddenly I'm hearing, oh, it's not about me. Like he's sharing his life with me. So I will just say back kind of the essence of what I'm hearing now. Yeah, what I'm hearing, Hans, is, it's a kind of a celebration of your process of finding more safety that allows you then to stay open and trust and learn. And
Yeah. Yes. I was very happy that I was finding a judgment in our little break. I said, Yeva, what judgment do we have about Yoram? And she said something about, don't you think that he does too much MVC? And then I said, no, actually, I really like that. I have to think about something else. And then this one came up. So I was first happy I had a judgment. And then now I noticed, it's not actually that alive. But what I also noticed is what is bringing it to me, because I had a very strong kind of projection towards my other teacher, let's say Michael, my meditation teacher. But if I have that, I'm actually less able to learn because of that dynamic. So the celebration for me is that, I can now just learn from you and be myself. And that's great, because I do want to learn. I need to learn. Yeah.
And again, a little something for the audience is, for me, it's so amazing that it starts with a judgment, and the judgment can be painful. But when I'm touching kind of the deeper layer, I'm so happy. Because now what I'm hearing is that Hans say, I so love learning from you, and I'm so celebrating that I can now relax more and stay more open. Hey, I'm so happy. And this is what I discover behind every judgment. That if I go down the layers, suddenly I'm hearing a very beautiful song that's so sad if I would not hear it. In that sense, it's so sad to see how much pain judgments create that prevent them to actually hear the song underneath. Maybe I will name something to the audience. Is you remember that moment that I said, oh, there are two parts, and I will just intuitively go now to one. I still remember the other one, and I could now check it if it's still alive there. Now I forgot it. It's funny because just
I was hoping you would remember. I also have to think about it.
A moment ago it was in my head. Now suddenly it disappeared.
Yeah, I think that the other part was the judgment that you made a mistake.
Yeah. So I could now check that if that's, maybe it's not alive at all. But yeah, so I'm just to check with you, Hans, is there also that kind of thought of like, wow, maybe what a pity, or maybe made a mistake for himself.
I think that how it is more authentically alive in me is almost like a worry, not like, oh, Yoram made a mistake. There's some worry, but actually more honest, actually curiosity, because you also said that that's not actually how it was for me. So I'm thinking, what did I not get quite right? So it becomes now more important for me to check what actually was for you the experience, and maybe then also my judgment will shift. I'm curious, yeah.
So again, for the audience, a little thing is that's often happening, and I find it so sweet that people judge me, and then I want to explain myself or defend myself. But if I try to explain or defend, they are not available to hear. I imagine many people experience that kind of that's kind of a conflict. One person says something, it brings pain in the other person. They want to defend or explain, but this one is immediately say yes, but they don't hear. And what happened now is that suddenly Hans himself wants to hear my explanation and defense. And it's not a defense, but my explanation. It's when a person is being heard behind their judgment, it's a natural movement that they want to know reality. It's become part of their well-being to understand me. That's, I find so sweet that at the end they want to hear me, which is very different quality than if I would do it at the beginning, because then I'm kind of forcing it. Like, why you don't listen to me. You don't understand me. Now he's available and wants. Yeah, so you want to know, Hans, kind of how it lives in me, that part?
Very curious, yeah. Please.
So that's one part of it, what you named. And it was just tiny bit also different that I'm just diving into it for a moment. So my pain is not that I was a burden to my father or anything. It was more the pain of I was not interesting for him. And that's an experience I'm scared to continue giving to the next generation. That, if my child will look in my eyes and they will not see me being authentically interested, that kind of really scares me to offer the same painful experience. So, and that's just one part of why I chose not to have children. And one part of it is that I was not so interested in that experience of being a father. I was actually hoping to get that interest. And I love watching children, but my life was so much about sharing with the world and developing my, the kind of precision in, what touches me in life and sharing it with others, that was just so much more taking me than, wanting to change diapers and support a little human being to grow, which I find to be very, very, very beautiful. But my interest was not really there. And of course, it might be a mistake, and it might be that I will give birth and then it will change, and suddenly my interest will be there. But that was another big reason why I chose not to take the risk, because I didn't see my interest there. And I was really waiting for it for a long time. I was hoping it will come, because I do find it incredible. It makes sense to me to live that experience. But today I don't feel the regret. Yeah. So far it still seems that my life path somehow is somewhere else. And maybe just to add the little pain that at this moment is there. Last thing I want to say is, just because I have some physical challenges now with my voice and some other things, and it brings me fear that I will not be able to do what I'm really interested in life, sharing. And that when I was scared that I cannot do that, then came, oh, I didn't create myself a family. I will be alone. Yeah. So it came like that. I'm complete. I wonder, how is it for you to hear all that?
I hear Daisy running up the stairs or something. Is that true or not? In the background?
I heard they are
hammering
something.
Okay. It's interesting to listen to you and touching. Not like I'm super deeply, but I notice, I have some empathy for your authenticity and wanting to go where life is really pulling you. There was also an urge in me to say something that's more of an expression, so I'll not do that right now. Wanting to tell you things. But there is, I do notice some kind of shift of, not that it's my place to accept you or your choices, but there is something like, I think it's probably understanding. oh, I get it. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. How's that for you to hear?
Yeah. Feeling mixed.
Mm.
There is not anymore that part of me that I want to be seen and understood.
Mm-hmm.
Gone.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I was going to say it. Is there any other part that you'd like to dive into? For me as a whole, it does already feel pretty complete, but I'm also, I have space if you want to open another chapter.
Yeah. I have two things in my mind to name. One is about opinions.
Yeah.
That I see just so, that really worries me about sort of the state of the world, especially in the appearance of social media and all this, just how much polarization is present and where does it lead to? For example, in the stability of democracies, for example, but also on a very personal level, how do we cooperate together, both on personal and, of course, international. I'm thinking a lot about now AI and how extremely important it is to be able to internationally cooperate on how do we want to hold the development of AI in a way that will be safe for us, for the future of our species. And if we don't find a way to cooperate, I'm very, very worried about, or we mean with climate change. We need to cooperate internationally. But also, I work as a mediator. It's the same dynamics that I see between husband and wife. Whenever we hold difference in opinions, I don't know, one person you say, yeah, I want our child to have no medicines or no vaccines, or eat not to eat meat, and the other person, no, but meat is very important, or the vaccination is very important, or I want them to to go to a public school, not to this alternative school when they learn nothing. So whenever there is a difference in opinions, I see immediately a polarization happen. As if we are different. That became a very important part of my work now. How to go beyond polarization. Like when we have difference in opinions, how to find a place to cooperate. And there, empathy for me is kind of the skill. So I thought maybe to do a demo with you.
Yeah.
So I will maybe first name the orientation and then to do a demo. So the orientation is opinions. I would say opinion is a superficial layer of a message. Is thoughts. Opinions are thoughts and beliefs. And thoughts is an expression of something that is important to the person. I don't know if the person say, I don't know, I don't want my child to be vaccinated. If I go down the layer, you really want to care for your child and to support their health, and you want to do everything you can to support their health. And you can imagine, for example, let's say that I'm your partner and I think that vaccination. Why did I say that this person say, I don't want my child to vaccinate? This person will say, I want my child to vaccinate. Actually, both of them are searching a way to care for their child, how they can be healthy. Does that make sense? So on that level, actually, we are partners. And on that level, there is immediately like, oh, of course. Yeah. Like is becoming the other person become not like an enemy of like how stupid you are, but oh yeah, you want to actually do everything you can to make sure that our children are healthy. Me too. Thank you. So when we go down the layer, it's immediately there is human resonance where we can become partners like a team. So this is what I like to do maybe in the demo, or to search that human resonance, which is the first step. It's not the whole process. Like after also the next step would be how we find creativity to care for everything. I might not do that because we are more skilled at that, of the thinking of how to be creative, what to do. We are more trained in that than trained in first creating that human resonance, that of a team, that sense of landing on what is actually important for the person. So shall we do that?
Yeah, I'm curious to do
I
that.
thought the one idea that came to me is just something that is present now, which is the war in Iran. So I thought maybe to do it about against and for
Yeah,
the war in Iran.
yeah,
So I wonder which role would it, so we will do it then as a role play, because both of us might play a different opinion than what we have.
yeah.
Personally, by the way, I don't really have an opinion. I have more concerns and worries, and
Yeah.
don't. Shall we? Which role would you like to play?
Yeah, I don't care so much about opinions, but my mind produces them as a habit. And in this thing of Iran, to my understanding, is that there's a very oppressive regime. So part of me really wants there to be different governments so that people can be free and happy. But yeah, throwing bombs and sending missiles is something I hate. I think it's complete insanity. So it will be easy for me to go on either side. But for ease, I will just choose that I'm for the war, let's say.
Okay. So shall we do maybe for 1 or 2 minutes a conversation how I often hear it on family's dinner table?
Yeah.
Where we just say our opinion and we clash.
Yeah.
And we try to, what I see often happen when people have difference in opinion, either they try to convince each other they are wrong, that the other person is wrong and they are right, or they just cut the conversation. It's like, oh, fuck it.
Yep.
So let's do the trying to convince each other, and then we will stop it, and then we will do another kind of conversation.
Yeah.
Where we will practice, or I will practice bringing more empathy there. So you wanted to say something about what's going on in Iran?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shitty situation, but obviously we have to throw away the government there because they're just terrorizing their people. It's kind of obvious, right?
Yeah, but how do you know that throwing them will make it better?
Well, you have to make a choice. You cannot just sit around and dream about what may be. You have to do something in the world.
Yeah, but you're doing what the West is trying to do since generations, which is thinking that we know what is good for others, and we just project our own beliefs on others, and we think that we are God, we know the truth. I saw so many examples, for example, in Africa, where the the white people came with great ideas, but without understanding for what is actually there, then it just become another distortion.
No, I think you're just generalizing now and making white people to be the bad guy. I'm not even thinking in race. I just think there's a bad country over there. We have to help the people. Simple.
Yes, but how? By throwing bomb? You think is that helpful?
Well, what else are we
Are you like,
supposed
oh
to do?
yeah, that makes us so much more.
Well, if throwing bombs stops other bombs from flying, then yeah, that's the best idea, of course.
Yeah. It was tried for generations and over again. I'm from Israel, so I saw how it's happening. Throwing bombs just bring more violence.
Well, don't even get me started about
And
Israel. Yeah, but now you're bringing Israel. That's even worse. That's just bad guys everywhere. And I'm not saying Israel's the good guy, but they are now doing away with the bad guys. Obviously.
Yeah, but you don't hear what I'm saying. I'm saying, did you notice that violence bring more violence? I see it with you and your wife. It is all the time happening the same dynamic here. Whenever you are angry, she is more angry. Great. You
Yeah,
brought
okay.
more hooks.
But now you're just throwing one-liners my way to try to explain a super complex global situation. And meanwhile, there are people dying there.
Okay. Enough of that. So just trying to convince each other. And I don't know, I didn't experience much openness.
No, me neither.
The core thought is like, that was in me is like how stupid Hans is and how do I show him that he's wrong. That was my guiding line. Similar for you?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because my brain enjoys the debate, but my body is like, oh, this is not comfortable. It's a bit strangely contorted. Yeah.
Yeah, I like somehow that you say that. I know that there are people who are enjoying it, enjoying the challenge. I can see the beauty in that, enjoying the challenge. Personally, I really suffer humanly because I just notice how much I enjoy more when I like people rather than when I'm annoyed with people. Just my whole life experience becomes pleasurable. It feels more healthy to love people. So that actually would be my guiding line now. It's like I want to fall in love with Hans, even if I don't agree with his first layers. Fall in love with Hans. To fall in love with annoying people. So I will now try to move towards the experience of understanding, and with this I will gently go down the layers. So Hans, can I check if I understand you well? Yeah, are you really worried for the people there?
Yeah. So the messages I read in the news is that thousands and thousands of people who have been demonstrating were killed by the government. And it just makes me so, I don't even know, there's a lot of emotions there, but there's this urge of, oh, we have to do something, something like that. It becomes very urgent.
And I will speak with the people who listen. Like already hearing that, if I manage to put my focus really on what just Hans said, which is difficult because my brain still remember, oh, he wants to throw bombs. When I think he wants to throw bombs, immediately I'm like, I hate him, or I disagree with him, or I want to change him. But I really want to train my brain to focus on the essence of human beings, like the why. Why he wants to throw bombs. Now I will just say it both to help myself to land there, as well as to check if I understood him well. And there I can feel immediately compassion. The thing itself, the pure motivation. So Hans, yeah, is it that you're really worried about the people and you really want to, there is an urgency in you to not to leave them alone?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want those people to be left alone. The demonstrations are, in a way, I mean, I perceive them as cries for help to the rest of the world. And it feels wrong not to do anything about it.
I just want to make a comment here just to make it a little bit larger. So it's not about what Hans just said, but very often, I don't know, for example, if Hans would be Donald Trump, people will have suspiciousness about his authenticity. They will say, yeah, he's just doing it for oil. But there also, for me, doing it just for oil, this is not yet the depth. Like, why? Why he does it for oil? And I want to go down the layers there until I'm authentically touched by what the person is holding. So I'm naming it as very often there is always another layer deeper to go. But of course, on the political realm, I rarely hear dialogues that go there. But also on the personal level, with my wife, or my children, or. So I'm coming back to the dialogue with Hans. So, yeah, so if I'm hearing you well, Hans, yeah, like you really, you don't want to leave them alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you really want to support them to be free and a choice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Just to name it, again, for the people, on that level, if I hear just that, forget about I want to throw bombs, but I want, like, there is an urgency. It's painful for me to leave them alone. I'm touched. Immediately I'm like, wow, I want a friend like Hans who don't leave me alone when I'm struggling. Wow, what a sweet human being. That's kind of the level where what I named as how to fall in love with annoying people. This is what I see behind everything people say. Something extremely sweet, but it's not easy to hear it. Thank you. Is there anything else, Hans, you wanna say from your position?
No, that's it. Yeah. I want to say more from actual Hans, not role play Hans, but I don't know if you want me to say that.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, one of the things that I've sometimes thought, and now it comes back again, is, oh yeah, actually, I have respect for politicians as well, in a way that they have to make these super hard decisions, in the moment. And maybe that's the jackal of, oh, why do you have to do it now? But like, oh my God, the responsibility they have. Yeah. That comes to me.
I like a lot hearing it, because this is another thing that I hear so rarely. Like, I hear just so much, oh, these politicians, they are just doing it for their own interest and la, 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 la. But at the end, they are also human beings. And Jesus, what they are holding.
Yeah.
Thank you. I like hearing it a lot. So shall we shift the focus and hearing in this person?
Yeah.
What is dear behind not throwing bomb?
Yeah. And will you self-guide, or how will you want to do it?
Yeah, I will myself already bring it there, but you can also, if you want to, if you have any other guesses, you can check. Yeah, I'm just really worried. And sorry, I will just name the sort of intention. It's again, I bring my focus instead of to my thoughts and beliefs to what is underneath my human experience, my feelings, and underneath deeper is the core of my longing. In nonviolent communication, we call it needs. Needs is the actual motivation, like what drives me. And everything I do is motivated by a human need. I don't know. For example, now I'm choosing to speak in this podcast, and I want to name that speaking now in this podcast has a lot of costs for me. For example, since 2 days I didn't speak because I have pain in my voice, and I chose not to speak with my girlfriend in order to try to keep my voice so that I would be able to do this podcast. So it has cost, but why? So something motivates me. That's something I at the depths of it, when I go down the layer, I call it needs. So for example, one layer that is not at the depths, I don't know, people will guess maybe Yoram, you want to do it in order to become famous, which is like, I don't feel so much compassion to that. That means let's go one layer deeper. Why he wants to be famous? And now I will just say what comes to me now is, is the sort of the fear of being alone. It's really funny how I'm just saying it. It's like there is a whole movement in my body. I'm just scared to be alone. Can you make a guess, Hans? Just with me, I'm a little bit in the... I'm shocked with myself just how much it kind of moves in me to just say.
Yeah. It seems like you're actually kind of taken aback by this movement in your body, and then what would you be needing? Togetherness, it sounds like, to be together with people. Is that?
Yeah, I don't even understand myself at this moment, like why I'm saying.
So maybe right now, is it that you like to just experience what you're experiencing and just have some time to find yourself in it?
It's connected to the fear I'm experiencing now with losing my voice, and how scared I am to lose my capacity to speak again.
Yeah, your voice is such a main instrument in reaching people and sharing yourself that it becomes almost existential for you to, what if I don't have my main instrument anymore? Yeah.
I'm starting to track back. How did I get here? So I said, like, why is it that I'm doing this podcast? Yeah, that's really resonant. It's almost like my way of taking me out of loneliness. Yeah. So I'm just tracking back, coming back to playing the role play. So yeah, why is it that I want the war to stop? It's because, yeah, I'm really scared that violence brings more violence, that throwing bombs traumatize people. It doesn't make them more compassionate. It leaves traces in their hearts. It's so traumatic. I have small experiences of that, of just the intensity. This is a part that I would wish people to have more understanding of, just as a vulnerable human being, how it feels to experience a bomb or a rocket. Like the intensity of it is so big. It's something your body can never forget. And to imagine that other human beings were throwing that on me is just so intense. And it doesn't make my heart more compassionate. And I'm extremely, 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 extremely worried about the amount of traumas we're creating that brings people to more towards wanting to retaliate rather than wanting to cooperate. I'm just extremely worried about that.
Yeah.
So I'm very much with you about the sense of urgency of, I'm touched to hear, that you don't want to leave them alone. Me too. And I don't know yet how to do it in a way that I would trust for the long term, that is actually bring to compassionate cooperation rather than to retaliation. So I'm just wondering, Hans, just if that brings you closer compassionately to what I'm holding behind. No, it's stupid to do war.
Yeah, very much at the somehow when you're speaking the reality of what a bomb is and does, and then knowing that somebody willfully sends that to another human being is just the definition of insanity for me. And can I share a small anecdote of something I saw 2 days ago? Yeah, so I saw a bit by accident, but I saw a interview with a Vietnam veteran, and he was describing how trigger warning people. I won't go very graphic, but he was describing how he was in Vietnam somewhere in the 60s. A buddy of his stepped on a landmine, and he knew that that person knew he had a few seconds to react before the bomb would go off, and he told his buddies, "Get down," and save their lives. And the person interviewed said something like, "Yeah, and then my body was just blown to hell," or something like that. I can just sort of imagine it. It's extremely graphic, the imagination that comes to me. And, if we do that kind of thing to other human beings, and one of the things he actually said was that after that, he just wanted to go ahead and kill as many Viet Cong as he could, because then they would stop doing that to his people. And I'm actually finding it a bit scary to talk about now because of how alive my imagination is, and it's really horrible. And so, yeah, it's I can't even imagine. And I actually also stopped now. I deleted the news app from my phone because it's just too intense for me. Even sitting here in my pleasant room in the Netherlands, it's really intense. And you have had some close experience with bombs going off or something in Israel, I think. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, I'm having even a bit of difficulty with the topic at the moment. I'm okay, but it's a lot. Yeah, the reality of it. How is that for you to hear?
I mean, it gives me a sense of being understood. Which I liked. Maybe, as I imagine, we are rounding it off. Just tracking it back to your first question, what empathy is for me. And I said something about just the experience of being seen and heard is so transformative. And it's sort of a secret. Like, I don't see, in a way, I don't know, at work situation or in politics or in any, when people are at conflict, there is this secret ingredient that actually, if you hear the other person, it shifts. It shifts the whole situation towards cooperation and flexibility. And especially the word flexibility, that when people are heard, they become so much more flexible. As to, for example, maybe just to give an example, is that when people hold opinions very strong, there is a very sweet moment that if you hear them at the level of what is really important to them, suddenly they themselves start to doubt their own opinion. And it's very funny to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they are holding to their opinions because they don't even know what is the core of what they care for.
Yeah.
It's to go that deep is most of the time it's our unconscious.
Yeah.
So I'm complete.
Yeah. Thank you. Was that also like the completeness for you? For me, that's okay, by the way, of the podcast.
Yeah, in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah, for me also, it feels complete. Still kind of vibrating with the intensity of the topic, but it means something really landed. So thank you for that. Yeah, for me, it was very meaningful and touching and fun and educational to be with you. So thanks a lot. Really meets a lot of my needs. I hope your voice will be okay. Is there anything that you want to say before we close it, round it up?
Well, at this moment, I'm just touched mostly by my loneliness, my fear from loneliness. So that's really the thing that is there. And I like to sort of sit with that. With this, actually, I want to hook it up with empathy. That I'm suffering or what's happening to me physically, and at the same time also that pain brings me so much compassion. For example, to all people, I'm just so touched to realize what it means to get old, and the amount of grief of losing capacities. I remember myself being young and kind of, I thinking these old people, they are just stupid kind of thing. And now I just feel so much admiration for their capacity, for every human being who passed through that process. capacity to grieve and to accept that degradation process is, I find it so moving and so admirative, admirable. How do you say?
Mhm.
Yes, I'm engaged with that.
Yeah. So we're both feeling pretty strong vulnerability right now, is what I'm getting. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Yoram. Really good to be with you.
Again, I'm just remembering how I finished the last episode with how much I enjoy your listening. You being present with me while I'm sharing what touches me. Yeah, that's such a gift. Again, like you are actually the one through all this, throughout this this whole episode that I'm speaking about empathy, but you are doing empathy.
Thank you.